Okay, thanks everyone, and good afternoon, and thanks for joining today's Ask an Apprentice session. My name is David Aaron, and I am the Marketing and Communications Manager for the Graduate Apprenticeships team here at Heriot-Watt. We're delighted to be joined today by some of our colleagues from one of our key employer partners, BAM. Before I cover off some quick housekeeping, I'm just going to recap on today's running order. So first up is my colleague Derek Thompson. He's one of the business relationship managers in the GA team. Derek's going to cover off an overview of graduate apprenticeships. Then we'll hear from Claire Anderson, who's the social impact manager at BAM. And Claire's going to look at the apprenticeship opportunities at BAM. And then we're going to have a bit of an interactive QA led by Derek with two graduate apprentices. So welcome today to Alana Carey and Robert McLaughlin. Thanks very much for sparing your time today. And at the end of the session, people on the call will have the opportunity to ask any of the panel some questions, and you can either do that verbally or by using the chat function on the Teams call. Now, before we get started, I'll just cover off a couple of quick points. We'll be recording the session, as you probably know, and would appreciate it if everyone just could switch off your microphones and cameras during the presentation. So without any further ado, I am going to hand over to you, Derek.
Thanks very much, David. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks again for joining. It's great to have you all on the call today. As David mentioned, I'm one of the British business relationship managers at Heriot-Watt University, and my role includes helping employers and employees to access the funding that's available for the GA degree programmes. I'm going to provide a quick overview of the GA scheme, what it is, how it works, etc. And then, as David mentioned, we'll pass over to Claire from BAM, and then we will have the Q&A with Robert and Alana. So let me start by covering the basics of the GA scheme. So we've kind of got building blocks here that allow us to explain what graduate apprenticeships are. They're an opportunity to earn while you learn, so they're available to employees, either new employees or current employees. The GA degree programmes are part of the apprenticeship family, the others being more widely known as modern apprenticeships, and there's also foundation apprenticeships. So GA programmes are a 4-year honours degree. They're fully funded, which is great news for the student. There's no student debt. Great news for the employer. There's no tuition fees to pay. And the funding is accessed by the university once the individual signs up. So as I mentioned, they're for both new and existing employees. And the beauty about the learning here is that it's split between work-based learning and academic learning. So 80% of the learning is done at work, 20% is done through the university. That means that businesses get the opportunity to either grow their own graduate by developing these new skill sets with a new employee, or to grow someone who's already in the workplace into a graduate, someone who may already have, for example, an HNC, HND, can move to the next level. So ideal for modern apprentices to develop themselves. We are currently using an online delivery model at Heriot-Watt. That doesn't mean that we have ditched the campus-based learning. It just means that we, in response to the pandemic, as most learning providers have, developed everything to go online. And just because we have now got back to some kind of normality, it doesn't mean we're going to ditch the online option. It's still going to be available, so students can then choose the learning experience that best matches their location and their preferred learning style. Next slide, please, David. Oh yeah, and just the footer at the bottom, which really just clarifies that little myth that a graduate apprenticeship is somehow an apprenticeship for graduates. That's what it's not. It's an apprenticeship for employees that helps these people to then develop to become a graduate qualified at the honours degree level. Thanks. So how does it work? The 1, 2, 3, 4 model here just shows there's 1 day teaching per week plus 4 hours of additional study. So the 1 day teaching is learning or teaching time facilitated through the academic curriculum. The two nominated individuals provide support are one from the university, the academic mentor, known as a personal tutor, and also the workplace has a responsibility to provide someone as a mentor, so a workplace mentor. And those three people meet regularly throughout the programme to ensure that the support's there for the GA student. There's 3 semesters in the GA programme covering 42 weeks in the year. So over 4 years, there's your traditional 2 semesters, firstly from September to Christmas, and then from New Year through to Easter roughly. And when it comes to summer, traditional students will get their summer holidays or go off on a placement. But for GA students, they're first and foremost an employee. So their 3rd semester in the summer is where they get the chance to do any of the work-based learning that's still outstanding, and they can still have that 1 day a week ring-fenced for their academic submissions. And we mentioned already it's a 4-year programme of study. Some of the main benefits for candidates. So if you're applying for a GA programme, you're going to find that you don't get saddled with the fees and the student debt that you would do if you were coming to uni as a full-time student. In fact, even better news, you're going to get paid, and you have to be in a full-time job to get access to the GA degree route. You get to develop your skills, you put learning into practice whilst you're also doing the studies. So it's practical application of what you're learning at university in the workplace pretty much the next day or within a very short space of time. You achieve the honours degree, you get the same level of qualification, same level of honours degree as an undergraduate student. And the way that's able to happen is because you get credit for the learning that you do at work. So it's a way to fast track your career, increasing your earning potential and so on. And one of the other benefits that is often overlooked is because you have student status, you get access to all the university facilities, including things like student discounts and the Students' Union. Employers have given us some feedback, and it's important, I think, not just to talk about the benefits that we think are around, but also to listen to what employers are actually telling us. And without a doubt, graduate apprenticeships have been seen as a great boost for the economy across all the sectors. 100% of employers surveyed confirmed that they would do it again. They would take on a GA. 77% are highlighted as saying that they are happy that it helps them attract young people and it enhances diversity. 70% helps them to develop skills and support succession planning. There's some really positive feedback there from employers. And the final one there, 42% are saying that it helps address skills shortages, particularly in IT and digital, which was one of the key drivers for launching the scheme back in 2017. So these are the programs available through Heriot-Watt University. So we've got some delivered through the engineering school, which are the engineering design and manufacture program in electronic and mechanical, also the instrumentation measurement and control program and data science. We've then got some software and IT management programs. We've got some business management programs, and from the School of Environment Geophysics, we have civil engineering and construction and built environment. So here are some of the pathways, just to quickly follow through on how to get into this program. School leavers can apply. They may come straight into the GA degree program if they have the requisite entry requirements, or they may go to college and do an HNC, HND and come in via that route. It's also open to people that have achieved a foundation apprenticeship, modern apprenticeship. And they may also have attended college as part of that. It's open to existing employees who may want to look at upskilling or reskilling, maybe moving into a different career. And less common, but still appropriate, is that a full-time university student might decide to transfer. So someone might come to university, come on a full-time program, decide that full-time education is not their best way of learning. They'd rather do it more hands-on. And so providing they can find an employer to support them, then they can transfer over to the GA scheme. So the big question, I guess, is why come to Heriot-Watt? We've got some things to share here, which hopefully demonstrate the pedigree. For those of you that don't know, Heriot-Watt's history goes back to 1821 when the first Mechanics Institute was created, and that was done to provide education for the local workforce in Edinburgh at that time. The institute then evolved to become Heriot-Watt University, and so we've got a rich heritage of working in partnership with industry and businesses. We've always been at the forefront of providing work-based learning. Since then, Heriot-Watt has established a reputation for world-class teaching and practical leading-edge research. It's made it one of the top UK universities for business and industry. So the ratings, really, the rankings are very good for us at the, currently and have been. We regularly come out in the top levels for each. So there's some compelling reasons for choosing Heriot-Watt. So there's a successful track record of working in partnership, over 350 employers we've worked with to deliver upskilling GA programs. We produce more CEOs than any other learning institution in Scotland. 95% of our students go on to further education, move into industry within 6 months of graduation. And in terms of the GA programs, the current figures we have available after having one of our graduations last year, our first graduation, 47% were coming out with a first class honours degree. So it's all good news. And as I say, we continue to be positioned highly in the university rankings across all STEM subjects in education. But you don't need to take my word for it. Later on today, we're going to hear from apprentices, so you can ask them what they think. This is just a snapshot of some of the organisations we're currently working with. So we're partnered with some fairly well-known names across a variety of sectors and industry sectors, and it's really just to give you a flavour. So that's all I have to cover right now. Thanks very much, David, for managing the slides. I'd like to hand you over to Claire now from BAM.
Brilliant, thank you very much. So hi everyone, thank you so much for joining today. So my name is Claire Anderson and I am Social Impact Manager for BAM. I work across our projects in Scotland. So I'm just here to speak to you a little bit about BAM, who we are, and also touch on our apprenticeship programmes. We're just keen to give you a bit of a perspective from an employer's point of view. So next slide, please. So as David and Derek have covered, the purpose of today is really to provide you with a chance to find out more about BAM and our apprenticeship programmes. I'm going to touch on the early careers routes that we offer, current and upcoming opportunities, and later you will find out what it's like to be an apprentice from 2 BAM apprentices. As Derek has noted, there'll also be an opportunity to ask questions direct to Heriot-Watt University around the graduate apprentice scheme or anything around attending university. So next slide, please. I'll just start by covering a little bit about BAM and who we are for those of you who don't know. So we are part of the Royal BAM Group, and are one of Europe's largest contractors. We employ around 20,000 people globally with an annual turnover of around £7 billion. We've been building in the UK since 1874, and we adopted the BAM brand from our parent company, the Royal BAM Group, in 2008. So BAM Nuttall is the civil engineering arm of the company, and it really specialises in the delivery of large-scale infrastructure projects. BAM Nuttall employ over 3,000 people, and they have over 100 projects throughout the UK. Next slide, please. So BAM Construct, who myself, Robert and Alana work under, we develop, design, construct, refurbish and operate buildings throughout the UK. We work with both public sector and private clients, and we're involved in a wide range of projects from schools, office blocks, refurbishments to things like museums and leisure centres. We employ around 2,600 people and we have a turnover of around £900 million. So we are a management contractor and we very much manage that process of a build from start to finish, and we'll then subcontract the kind of trade work such as the joinery and bricklaying elements out. So at BAM, we're extremely proud of our early careers and apprenticeship programmes, and we have 5 main apprenticeship pathways, which include business support, so the likes of business, admin, HR, IT. We've got IT and digital, which focuses in on IT, data analyst, digital engineering. We have some craft trade apprentices through our kind of FM and Nuttles department, which looks at groundwork, electrical and joinery. And through our FM department, which is facilities management, we have different apprenticeships which cover electrical, building services maintenance, plumbing, heating and ventilation. The 5th and kind of main pathway which we deliver is the technical and graduate apprenticeships, and this covers civil engineering, construction management, quantity surveying and building services engineering, and this is really what we will focus on today. So next slide please. We also wanted to just touch on some current and upcoming vacancies to make you aware. So we are currently in the process of interviewing for this year's graduate apprentice positions that we have, and we have those positions in quantity surveying, construction management and civil engineering. We will begin advertising for next year's roles for these positions in October this year, and the application process will run from October until December for the following year's intake. So it's just good to keep that in mind if you think you are interested in these roles. Currently, throughout the UK, we do have a number of apprentice vacancies for apprenticeships such as digital engineering, electrical, quality, and we're also looking for an apprentice marketing and bid coordinator. We're also really proud to have been voted in the top 100 apprenticeship employers in 2021 and 22 again. And this is something that we're really keen to keep in, and that we do want to promote that we are seen as a good apprentice employer. So next slide, please. So more specific to Scotland and the work that we are doing locally, we wanted to share some of our projects, and these are some kind of iconic and well-known projects that we've been involved in. So we have the Riverside Museum. So that's located at the junction of the rivers Kelvin and Clyde in Glasgow, and it houses the city's transport and technology collections. So this museum was designed by the internationally renowned architect Zaha Hadid, and it opened in 2011 after a 4-year build. So that's a really, really great iconic project for us that we're really proud of. We also have connections at Queen Street. This was designed by a Glasgow-based architect, Cooper Cromer, and it's an kind of Art Deco inspired design. It's Grade A office space, and it also has retail space on the ground floor. And this is really quite an impressive building to see. If you're walking down Queen Street in Glasgow, you will really notice the kind of curved glass stands out in between more traditional buildings. And then we also have the V&A Museum of Design in Dundee. So the V&A was designed by the award-winning Japanese architects Kengo Kuma and Associates. And this building has curving concrete walls, which really create the appearance of a Scottish cliff face. And it's a really quite impressive building to see. So if you do get the chance, you should definitely go. So next slide. And then just a couple of current and upcoming projects that we're now working on. we have Dunfermline Learning Campus. So we are building the replacement Woodmill and St Columba's High Schools as part of the wider Dunfermline Learning Campus project. We actually have a graduate apprentice quantity surveyor working on this project who started with us after leaving Woodmill High School. So he's now working on the construction of the new school that would replace his old high school, which is a really kind of good news story for us. We have North East Hub Health Centre, and Robert, who's on the call, is working on that. This is one of the largest health centre projects to be built in Scotland, and we'll be working on it into 2024. We also have New Mains and St Bridget's joint campus. So this project is bringing together 2 primary schools and a family learning centre in North Lanarkshire. And Alana, who is on the call today, is working on this project. So we just wanted to give you a little bit of update on some of the projects that we're involved in, and also to kind of highlight, some of the projects that you could potentially be involved in if this is the kind of route that you want to take into industry. So I have already touched on the main apprenticeship pathways at BAM, but I also just wanted to focus in on the kind of key early careers routes that we tend to follow in Scotland. So we work with a lot of pupils at foundation apprenticeship level whilst they're still at school. So we would support a number of foundation apprentices each year, and we would help them to complete some work-based learning. They would typically spend 1 day a week with us while still at school. And we see this as an excellent kind of entry route into the industry, if this is the type of industry that you're interested in while you're still at school. We then support the graduate apprenticeship programme. And again, we see this as a great progression route from a foundation apprenticeship, or as an excellent entry route following school, or perhaps if you're completing a HNC or HND. We support around 3 graduate apprentices per year, and we typically employ civil engineers, construction managers and quantity surveying apprentices. The next step then is full-time employment once you have completed your apprenticeship, and this would be the kind of next progression route with BAM. We would be supporting you through the graduate apprenticeship and into full-time sustainable employment with us. So the careers tree that you can see shows the different routes into BAM and into kind of construction in general, and there are different routes, many different kind of options there. But for us, we do like to promote the kind of foundation and graduate apprenticeship route as a fantastic way to learn and to gain experience on the job. And we really do like to promote that as a excellent route and learning way in the industry. So next slide, please. So lastly from me, we would be really keen for you to stay in touch and to kind of keep up to date with us at BAM. So please do visit our early careers website at bamcareers.com. You can also follow us on social media, on Instagram at BAM Early Careers and Twitter at BAM UK Careers. And this will help you stay up to date on our early careers news. You'll be the first to hear about our vacancies. You'll also be able to get a kind of better understanding of what it's like to work at BAM. You can read our early career stories, watch our apprenticeship videos, and there's also some helpful early careers advice as well. So thank you very much for listening. I will now pass you back to Derek to move on to the Q&A. Okay, thank you.
Thanks very much, Claire. Turn my mic back on, so I hope everyone can hear.
Derek, I thought I'd just, sorry, Derek, I just thought I'd just stop sharing the screen and we could just have the cameras on for the Q&A. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Stay with this, staring at a screen. I'll just stop sharing.
Thanks, David.
Thanks.
So this part of today's event, we were thinking what we would do is just have a chat with the apprentices to kind of set the scene and perhaps cover off some of the main questions that might be asked by the audience. And then after we've done that, So I'll have a chat with Robert and Alana, and once we've done that, we can then pick up any questions or any other aspects you want to raise in the chat. So Robert, could I start with you?
Yes.
You're here, good. That helps. I wondered, can you give us a bit of background as to what you were doing before your graduate apprenticeship? And then how did you find out about the opportunity to become a graduate apprentice?
So I started at school, and it was the 5th year of school that I was offered to do a foundation apprenticeship, which was what Claire touched on earlier on. So that was in 5th and 6th year of school. I done a civil engineering course at Glasgow Kelvin College, and 5th year was predominantly theory based, and then the 6th year was last year was work based. So one day a week I'd go out to BAM sites and basically shadow site managers, just to get experience of just being around a site and the day-to-day rules of basically what the site managers are doing. So I'd done that for a year, and I was at projects like Blue Daddy Primary School and Maidenhill Primary School. So even getting that experience early on, it was a good thing for the CV. And it was basically at the end of that, BAM offered me if I'd like to stay on with them and do a graduate apprenticeship, which meant obviously what a graduate apprenticeship is, just day release, full-time employment, and then university on a Monday. That's what I'm just now anyway.
Okay, thanks, Robert. Can we just clarify which apprenticeship you're undertaking?
Civil engineering.
Yeah. Okay, thanks very much. Alana, we were wondering, as one of our first questions here, what was it about the GA programme that attracted you the most?
I think for me, it was the idea of doing the job every day and working every day and having that practical experience appealed to me much more than going to uni just full time. I felt that I would learn a lot faster this way. And obviously I'm still getting the degree at the end of it, so while earning a wage, and it was kind of the best of both worlds, I thought.
Excellent. And has it turned out that way so
Yes.
far?
So good so far, yes.
All good so far. Thanks, Alana. So, Robert, tell us a little bit about your current role and how you're finding the balance of work and studying towards a degree. How challenging is that?
Currently, I'm a trainee site manager with BAM, and I'm working on the North East Hub, as Claire mentioned earlier, which is a big health centre. So my day-to-day role is basically just the running of everything about the construction of the project. So just meeting programme dates, get everything moving smoothly on site, just absolutely everything. Every contractor that comes on the site, just make sure the work gets done smoothly and safely and everything. So safety is probably one of the other big topics in my role as well, because it's the most important thing nowadays. It's more important than profit and programme, just making sure that the site's safe and there's no injuries. And what was the second part of your question, sorry?
So I was just wondered how you were finding the balance of working and also studying towards a degree at the same time.
For me, I find that personally, I think it's okay because I'm given the time at work if I need it. So I know it says earlier you're given 1 hour a day at work, but if I need it, then the site team are good enough to maybe give me 2 or 3. But some days I get the full day doing it. If I'm coming up to a submission date, they might just go, right, take Friday and do it or whatever. So personally, I find it okay because I've got a team that are supportive.
And that time that you mentioned is in addition to what we would call the teaching day with Heriot-Watt?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Robert. Alana, I wondered if you'd be able to give us an example about how you've been able to apply your learning in the workplace.
I think it kind of works both ways as well. So like things that I'm learning at uni make sense when I go to work, and then things that I'm learning at work, but when it comes to doing it at uni, you kind of have a rough idea already. But an example would be one of the first things we done in first year was takeoffs, so measuring drawings to then generate into a bill. And I never actually done it at work until recently, and when it came to it, I had remembered like learning it at uni. So there's a lot of times where it does work both ways, and I think it is really beneficial having both sides of it to really, enhance your learning, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah, thanks for that. And I forgot to clarify at the start, so you're undertaking the construction built environment degree programme? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, final question for you, Robert. I just wanted to ask you about what support and encouragement BAM has given you on your GA journey.
In terms of support,
I suppose you
Okay.
mentioned some of that in your last answer, but
no,
if you
well,
think of anything else.
I'm surrounded by industry professionals in all disciplines every day. So if there's a certain part of my coursework that I don't have the strongest knowledge about, I've always got someone that will. And I've also got a mentor as well to bounce off of. And again, if he doesn't know what I'm asking him, he finds someone that does. So you're never stuck.
That's good to know. And where about in your GA journey are you now?
I'm just about to complete my 3rd year.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Robert. Final one for you, Alana. Just wondered how you would sum up your GA experience so far. What's it been like?
So far, it has flown for me. I started at BAM July 2019, and I've just finished my 3rd year. So I've got another year to do. But so far, very enjoyable. I was out for about 6 months on furlough, which was obviously challenging for everyone. But apart from that, it's been great. There's been loads of opportunities that I didn't expect as well. And especially since I started it on site, it means I'm just learning something new every day. No 2 days are the same. So yeah, on the whole, great.
Good. And you're okay balancing work and study as well?
Yeah, same as Robert. Like all the site guys and everyone at work is really supportive of any questions and stuff like that. So, and they do give you time if you need it, especially coming up to deadlines.
Great, thanks very much, Alana. Thanks to you both for helping us out with our webinar today.
No problem.
So I think we're probably about ready for questions. I'm sure David will come in with his guidance here.
Sure. Yeah. So
Is there any questions in the chat, David?
Not yet. I'm sure Jim's going to ask a question. Yeah, yes. Jim, would you like a question?
Thanks, David. And I think first of all, just to credit Alana and Robert, 2 excellent advocates for GA, and the way they spoke and conveyed the message is brilliant. Really well done to both of you. And credit to Claire as well for the presentation. And it's really on that point. I'm keen to share this with colleagues and everything. See the ground that's been covered today, the presentations, will you be able to circulate them so we can share these round?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and I'll have obviously the contact details in there for on Claire's slides and our own for Derek's contact details in there. So yeah, we'll make sure we get a PDF of those slides out to everybody. Yes, and Jim, yeah, please feel free to share that with all and sundry.
Terrific. Thanks.
Hello, it's Carol Lee here. I had turned off my camera because my dogs might decide to join us at the same time, so I was trying to keep it quiet. I was just wondering about routes for school leavers straight into BAM, because not everyone's near a site. So I know Glasgow Kelvin have a relationship with you for those school college partnership courses, but we're up, we're Denny, so we're in the middle of everywhere. Most kids can get anywhere if they get a car, but we don't have that direct route. So are there any offers for that we could bring young people, like a select few, to visit some sites? Do you have any social impact stuff that way? And what college courses would you see as a good route towards a GA? I mean, I saw your tree, and that was helpful. But is there a route for young people to take that NC route? Because a lot of really good practical kids are better off going to college than staying at school. And it's, they can be the best workers, but they just need to get that wee chance. So just looking for a bit of advice. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for the question. So in terms of kind of site visits and access to site, that is something that we offer. Again, it'll just be based on the live projects that we've got. So if you did want to get in touch with myself, I can let you know kind of what's happening or what the opportunities are. There's maybe potential for someone to come into your kind of school or area as well to chat a bit more kind of about that in person. In regards to the kind of college course, we do have a lot of people that come to us kind of from a HNC or a HND. I know, kind of speaking to Derek last year, we had that as well from a lot of applicants that then moved into the kind of graduate apprenticeship. We've had quite a few people, I think, that have maybe did like a kind of NQ or like NPA, like a kind of starter course at college to kind of just get started, to get that insight, to then see what they like, and they've then kind of progressed with us as well. So it does vary, but if it was the graduate apprenticeship that they were interested in, a kind of foundation apprenticeship or a HNC, HND would be a kind of great starter. But we also obviously have people coming direct from school as well, just with their school qualifications too.
And maybe just add for you, Carol. Is it Carol? That
yes, it
we've
is.
had.
Sorry, I muted myself.
Yeah, no, that's fine. We've had applicants enter our GA program that have undertaken HNC in civil engineering at Forth Valley College. So I think that's probably closer to Denny.
Yes, and that's where our relationships with. But I think COVID has been one of the issues as well, because getting partners for a lot of the FEs has become even more difficult than it was at the beginning of the FEs.
Yeah.
So, but that's awesome. Thank you very much.
So just add to that, with the graduate apprenticeship entry requirements, you're looking at somebody coming in with hires. And sometimes individuals don't make enough hires, they don't get them. So if they go to college and they get an HNC with an A in the graded unit, they can then come into university to do the GA degree programme, and they can enter it second year if they've got an A in the graded unit of their HNC. And of course, by that time, they might have learned to drive as well. You're on mute again, Carol.
Thanks, Derek. Cool. There's no other questions in the chat. Just on that, yeah. So just for a bit, we'll get the slides PDF'd up and we'll get them around to everybody in the call today, and even the people that couldn't make it today. So yeah, and as I say, please feel free to share that. We'll also, if people like, we'll send around a recording of the session as well. That we'll get it up on YouTube. We'll send around a link to the recording if that also helps in conjunction with the slides. Because I think it's also really having the slides, but it's good to hear the chat as well, particularly from Alana and Robert as they sort of shared their experiences of the GA programme. So yeah, I think that would be beneficial to do that too. So, I mean, if there's not any other questions, Jim's shaking his head. Okay, so I'm happy to close the call. And I just on that, any questions, we can fire them into Derek's contact details or Claire's details. Claire, I'm not sure if your own email address is on that, but we can share that around, or people can just get in touch with the email address, the BAM Careers mailbox that was on there.
Yeah, I don't think it is, but I'm happy to add it on before you issue out the slides.
Okay, if you're happy with that, yeah, we can do that.
That's fine.
That's great. We'll get that around. And then, so just for me then, just to say thanks really to Derek and Claire for your participation today. And Alana and Robert, yeah, again, I really appreciate you making the time today from your busy work and study schedule, and helping to share some of your experiences of your graduate apprenticeship journey so far. I think it was, just to echo Jim's thoughts, it was sort of really quite insightful, and you sort of certainly got it, your point over very, very well. So I appreciate that, and thanks again.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks so much,
Alana and Robert. Again,
thanks a lot.
And also thanks to Claire for joining us.
No problem at
Did I miss
all.
Claire off
Thank
there?
you for
Sorry.
asking us.
Sure, pleasure. Okay, listen, so happy to close the call there, and thanks again everyone for joining today, and thanks all. Okay, thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.